February 28, 1944. Oschersleben, Airfield, Germany. 5:47 hours. Hauptmann Dieter Hartmann sat in the cramped briefing room with 36 other pilots nursing bitter ersatz coffee that tasted like burnt grain. Outside the frost-covered windows, ground crews worked under portable lamps, their breath forming clouds in the pre-dawn cold. -12 Celsius, the kind of cold that made engines reluctant and men cautious. Hartmann was neither. At 32, he had been flying for the Luftwaffe since Poland. 5 years, 127 missions, 18 confirmed victories, 1,847 flight hours in his logbook. His hands bore scars from a cockpit fire over France in 1940. His eyes carried the particular weariness of men who had survived when statistics said they shouldn't. On the metal table before him lay a photograph. Anna, his wife, holding their daughter Greta at the zoo in Berlin. Greta was 4 now. In the photograph, she laughed at something beyond the frame. Hartmann had carried this image through 43 missions. It was creased at the corners, faded from sweat and handling. He slipped it back into his flight jacket's inner pocket. The briefing officer, an Oberleutnant with wire-rimmed glasses and a permanent desk pallor, stood before a large map of central Germany. Red lines marked bomber approach corridors. Blue circles indicated Luftwaffe bases. The map was covered in grease pencil marks from 100 previous briefings. The patterns never changed much. "Gentlemen," the officer began. His voice carried the flat authority of men who sent others to die but never went themselves.
Intelligence indicates another large formation inbound. Estimated strength 180 to 200 B-17 heavy bombers. Expected time over target 11:45 hours. Altitude 23 to 25,000 feet. Hartmann made notes on his kneeboard. Same numbers as yesterday.
Same numbers as the day before. Primary target appears to be the ball-bearing works at Schweinfurt. Secondary targets include synthetic fuel plants near Leipzig. The officer tapped the map with his pointer. Your intercept point will be here approximately 40 kilometers west of Kassel. Expected enemy fighter escort P-47 Thunderbolts, range limited as usual. Here it was. The gap. The blessed bloody gap that made German fighter operations possible. American bombers flew deep into Germany. American fighters escorted them part way. But the Thunderbolts, with their massive radial engines and limited fuel capacity, couldn't go all the way. Somewhere around the German border they turned back. For perhaps 30 minutes, sometimes 40, the bombers flew unescorted. In that gap, German interceptors worked. You climbed, you attacked, you survived, or you didn't. But you did it without interference from enemy fighters hovering protectively above. The arithmetic was simple, was calculate intercept point, factor in climb time, fuel state, ammunition load, execute attack during the window when bombers flew alone. For 3 years, this equation had held. Expected opposition intensity, moderate, the briefing officer continued. Weather over target, scattered clouds at 15,000, broken at 22,000. Winds aloft, negligible. Questions? No one spoke. These men knew the drill. They had flown it too many times to count. Dismissed. Good hunting. The pilots filed out into the cold. Hartmann walked beside Lieutenant Klaus Weber, his wingman for the past 8 missions. Weber was 19 years old with sandy hair and a face still touched by adolescent softness. He had 47 hours of training flight time. Pre-war pilots graduated with 250 hours. Now they sent boys with less than 50. "Herr Hauptmann," Weber said quietly as they walked toward the flight line.
"About the American escorts." "Stay with me," Hartmann interrupted. "Watch your altitude. Don't chase damaged bombers below 10,000 feet. One pass, then climb away. If fighters appear, call them out and disengage immediately." "Yes, Herr Hauptmann." The boy was terrified. Hartmann could see it in the way Weber's hands flexed, the way his eyes tracked every sound. 8 missions. Statistically, Weber would be dead in 14 more. Fighter pilots in 1944 survived an average of 4 months. The odds were unforgiving. They reached Hartmann's aircraft, a Messerschmitt Bf-109 G6, painted in standard grey-green camouflage with yellow theatre identification bands. The individual aircraft number White 14 was stenciled on the fuselage. The ground crew chief, an Oberfeldwebel named Richter, stood beside the wing. "Herr Hauptmann, aircraft is ready. All systems functional. Ammunition load is full. 200 rounds for the nose-mounted MG-151 cannon, 300 rounds for each MG-131 machine gun." Hartmann circled the fighter slowly. The Bf-109 G6 was a brute, not elegant like the earlier models. The Daimler-Benz DB605 engine produced 1,475 horsepower at takeoff with methanol water injection. 2 13mm machine guns fired through the propeller arc. 1 20mm cannon shot through the spinner. Two additional 20mm cannons hung in underwing gondolas, adding killing power but making the aircraft heavy and sluggish. He checked control surfaces, examined tires, verified fuel quantity 88 gallons, enough for approximately 90 minutes flight time, including combat at emergency power. "She'll bring you home, Herr Hauptmann," Richter said. "She always has." Hartmann climbed onto the wing and lowered himself into the cockpit. The space was cramped familiar. His hands moved through pre-start checks without conscious thought. Magnetos off, throttle closed, mixture control forward, fuel selector to main tank. Around him, 35 other fighters were waking up. Starter motors whined, propellers turned. One by one, engines caught with coughs of blue smoke that quickly disappeared into smooth mechanical thunder. At 07:15 hours, Hartmann's DB-605 roared to life. The aircraft trembled with contained violence. Oil pressure rose to 68 pounds. Temperature gauges climbed steadily. All instruments showed green. At 07:34, the tower cleared them for takeoff. Hartmann rolled onto the runway, advanced the throttle. The Bf-109 accelerated with brutal force, tail coming up at 55 miles per hour. At 112, he rotated. The fighter lifted cleanly into grey dawn sky. Gear retracted with mechanical precision. He banked left into the standard departure pattern. Below, Oschersleben airfield shrank to toy-like dimensions. Beyond it, Germany stretched away in winter colours. Brown fields, dark forests, villages clustered around church spires. It looked almost peaceful from 5,000 feet. 12 Messerschmitt 109s formed up in loose combat spread. Hartmann led from the front. Weber flew 500 meters to his right and slightly behind. The formation climbed steadily westward at 200 miles per hour. At 10,000 feet, Hartmann leveled off and began a fuel-conserving cruise, nursing every gallon toward the intercept point. The sky was empty. High clouds scattered across deep blue. Contrails from earlier missions drew white lines that slowly dissipated. Below-ground haze softened details. In the cockpit, Hartmann scanned methodically. 6 o'clock, 3, 12, 9, up, down. Check instruments, check fuel, scan again. Never stop scanning. The pilot who stopped scanning died. At 10:47 hours, ground control transmitted coordinates and timing. The bomber stream was inbound on schedule, altitude 24,000 feet. Intercept in 23 minutes. Hartmann acknowledged and began climbing. The DB-605 howled at full power, engine temperature rising toward redline. At this altitude, in air containing only 40% of sea-level oxygen, the supercharger screamed desperately, compressing thin atmosphere with mechanical violence. 20,000 feet, 22, 23. The formation struggled upward. Hartmann's airspeed dropped to 180 as the Bf-109 clawed for altitude in atmosphere too thin to provide easy lift. At 25,000 feet, he leveled. His fuel gauge showed 67 gallons remaining. 23 gallons was emergency reserve, 44 gallons available for combat and return flight. Perhaps 45 minutes. The clock was running. At 11:34 hours, they saw the bomber stream. It stretched across the sky like a mechanical migration. B-17 flying fortresses in their combat boxes, perhaps 180 aircraft total. Each bomber was a 4-engine giant bristling with defensive guns. The formations maintained tight discipline. Contrails from 1,200 engines drew parallel white lines across 25,000 feet. Hartmann's radio crackled. "Lead, this is 4. I count 16 boxes." "Confirmed," Hartmann replied. "Staffel, prepare to engage. Attack from 6 o'clock high. 1 pass. Climb away immediately. Execute on my mark." The 12 Bf-109s positioned themselves 3,000 feet above and behind the bomber stream. Hartmann selected a target. The trailing box of the 3rd Combat Wing, 6 B-17s in tight formation. He rolled inverted and pulled through into a diving attack. The world became speed and geometry. Air screamed over the canopy. Airspeed unwound rapidly. 180, 220, 260, 300 miles per hour. The Bf-109 shook with the violence of passage. Defensive fire erupted. Black puffs blossomed across 3 dimensions. The American gunners were veterans. They led correctly adjusted fire, walked their bursts toward him. The bomber grew larger. 4 engines, high tail, olive drab paint with white identification stars. Hartmann pressed the trigger. The 20mm cannons hammered. Tracers arced toward the bomber in streams of red light. He saw strikes on the wing route, the sweet, vulnerable junction where structure met fuel tanks. Aluminum skin peeled away in bright ribbons. 2 seconds. The cannons fired 120 rounds per minute, 40 rounds expenditure. His aiming point tracked across the bomber's wing, walking destruction toward the fuselage. Then he broke hard left, pulling 6 gravities. The world grayed.
Blood drained from his head, his G-suit inflated, squeezing legs and abdomen to keep consciousness from fleeing. He held the turn, straining against forces that crushed him into his seat. Behind him, the B-17 continued flying. Its formation didn't waver. Hartman swore quietly. He had hit cleanly. Good strikes. But these American bombers absorbed punishment that would obliterate any German aircraft. They were built like tanks with wings, redundant systems, armored crew stations, self-sealing fuel tanks. He reversed the turn and began climbing, nursing the throttle carefully. Temperature gauges climbing dangerously. The DB-605 was gasping, trying to maintain power at altitude where air was desperately thin. That's when he saw it in his mirror. A fighter, not a Thunderbolt. Something different. Slender fuselage, inline engine, bubble canopy offering panoramic visibility, checkerboard markings on the nose. Fast, very fast. Not turning, just closing with geometric inevitability. Pure energy tactics. Hartman's survival instinct registered simultaneous impressions. The fighter was perhaps 400 miles per hour, maybe faster. His own speed, 280. You didn't outturn an enemy with that energy advantage. You didn't outclimb him. Climb.
You didn't outrun him. You made him overshoot. Hartman snap-rolled inverted and pulled through into a brutal split S, trading all his altitude for speed. The acceleration crushed him into his seat. The airframe groaned under stress. Negative G-forces lifted him against his harness. Blood pooled in his head, pressing behind his eyes with sickening pressure. The altimeter unwound like a broken clock. 25,000 feet. 20. 18. 15. The American followed. Hartman watched in his mirrors, judging closure rate. The pilot was good. Patient. Letting geometry do the work. Maintaining position above and behind. No wasted motion. Just disciplined execution, tracking him through sky. At 5,000 feet, Hartman reversed into a maximum rate turn. The stall warning buffeted his stick. He ignored it, holding the turn at the edge of controllability. The Bf-109 shuddered. The wings flexed. Any harder and he'd depart, controlled flight entirely. The American swept past, perhaps 300 meters away. Hartman got his first clear look at the aircraft. It was beautiful. Clean, purposeful lines. A bubble canopy offered the pilot unobstructed vision in every direction. Wings that looked thin and sharp, designed in wind tunnels rather than hammered out under pressure of bombing raids. The belly scoop was fascinating, a ventral radiator aerodynamically fed to minimize drag. Then the American turned. Hartman watched with professional horror as the aircraft carved through air at a radius that should have been impossible for its speed. No skid, no slip, just a pure turn, bringing the nose around with terrifying precision. He had 3 seconds. Hartman firewalled the throttle-engaged MW-50 emergency power injection and pointed the Bf-109's nose straight at the ground. Temperature gauges redlined immediately, screaming mechanical protest. He had perhaps 90 seconds at this power setting before the DB-605 cooked itself to destruction. The dive took him through 8,000 feet. 6, 4. The airspeed indicator swept past redline. 340, 360, 380. The airframe shook violently. This was coffin corner where metal fatigue met pilot desperation. At 1,000 feet, Hartman pulled out. G-forces crushed him. His vision tunneled to grey, then black at the edges. The altimeter unwound through 700 feet, 600, 500. He hauled back on the stick with both hands. The Bf-109 groaned. Rivets protested. Structural members flexed beyond design limits. At 480 feet, the nose came level. Trees were individual and distinct below. He could see branches, fields, a farmer's wagon on a dirt road. The ground rushed past at 320 miles per hour, close enough to touch. Hartman looked back. The American fighter was gone. He circled once, scanning desperately. Nothing. The bomber stream continued eastward untouched. New fighters circled above the formations like protective guardians. Different fighters, all with that same slender, purposeful configuration, that belly scoop, that bubble canopy. They weren't leaving. For 3 years, American escorts had turned back at the border. The gap had held. Not today. Today, these new fighters remained on station at 30,000 feet with what appeared to be unlimited endurance. Something fundamental had changed. Hartman checked his fuel gauge. 31 gallons. 8 below emergency reserve. His engine temperature was catastrophic. Coolant reading 118 Celsius. Maximum continuous operating temperature 105. He turned west toward home, nursing the overheated DB-605 like a dying horse. Throttle back to minimum cruise power. Mixture lean. Propeller pitch coarse. Every adjustment designed to reduce heat, preserve the engine for 18 more minutes of flight time. Below Germany, passed slowly. He flew at 2,000 feet, low enough to see detail. Villages, roads, rivers. It all looked so normal. People going about their lives unaware that overhead the arithmetic of air warfare had just shifted decisively. At 12:07 hours, Oschersleben appeared on the horizon. Hartmann entered the pattern on fumes. The fuel gauge showed 9 gallons, perhaps 6 minutes flight time remaining. He configured for landing. Gear down, flaps down, speed 120 miles per hour on final approach. The wheels touched with barely a chirp. He rolled out and taxied to the flight line where ground crews waited. When he shut down the engine, the silence was profound. His hands shook. Not from fear, from adrenaline finally ebbing, from understanding what he'd just seen. Richter climbed onto the wing. "Herr Hauptmann, your engine." "I know. It's cooked."
"I'll need a replacement. We'll have her ready by tomorrow. Tomorrow may be too late." Hartmann climbed out and stood on the wing looking at the sky. Empty now, blue and innocent. But somewhere up there those new fighters were still flying, still escorting their bombers deep into Germany, still closing the gap that had made German operations possible. Around the airfield other Bf-109s were landing. Hartmann counted. 12 had launched, 10 were returning. 2 empty parking spaces gaped like missing teeth. Weber's aircraft wasn't among those that returned. Hartmann walked to the operations building slowly. His legs felt unsteady, not from physical exhaustion, from the weight of understanding. He'd been flying combat missions for 5 years. He knew what different aircraft could do. He knew their capabilities, their limitations, their envelope of performance. What he'd just fought was different, not incrementally better, fundamentally superior, faster at altitude. Better turning radius at high energy, better visibility, and endurance that rendered the entire German defensive strategy obsolete. The operations officer met him at the door. "Hauptmann Hartmann, mission report." They sat in the cramped debriefing room, the same room where he'd started the day, the same bitter ersatz coffee. But everything had changed. "Contact with enemy bomber formation at 11:34 hours, Hartmann began mechanically. "Made one attack pass on trailing box 3rd Combat Wing. Observed strikes on target, no confirmed destruction. Encountered new type of enemy fighter during climb-out." The operations officer looked up. New type, slender configuration, inline engine, bubble canopy, ventral radiator scoop, checkered nose markings, single seat, single engine, extremely fast, possibly 400 miles per hour or better at altitude. "Are you certain it wasn't a P-47 Thunderbolt?" "Certain. This was different, smaller, more streamlined, and it wasn't leaving, and..."
It remained over the bomber stream at 30,000 feet for the entire engagement. The officer made notes. "Probable misidentification. The Thunderbolt." "I know what a Thunderbolt looks like," Hartmann interrupted. His voice was harder than he intended. "This wasn't a Thunderbolt. This was something new, something better." Silence. The operations officer continued writing without looking up. "Anything else?" Lieutenant Weber did not return. "Noted. His next of kin will be informed. Dismissed." Hartmann stood. At the door he paused. "That new fighter. If I could examine one, I could provide more detail. If such an aircraft exists, and if one is captured, appropriate personnel will conduct analysis. That is not your concern, Hauptmann. With respect, it should be everyone's concern." He left before the officer could respond. Outside, the afternoon sun had burned through clouds. The temperature had risen to perhaps 2 Celsius, almost warm.
Ground crews worked on aircraft replacing spark plugs, patching bullet holes, refueling tanks. The routine of war. Hartmann walked to Weber's empty parking space. The concrete was stained with old oil. Tire marks from the last time the boy had taxied out showed in frost. Mechanics were already beginning to clear the space for another aircraft, another pilot. 19 years old, 47 training hours, 8 combat missions. Now a statistic. Someone would write to Weber's mother. Some officer with a desk job would compose careful sentences about duty and honor and sacrifice. The mother would receive an official letter expressing regret. She would never know that her son died because American industry had developed a fighter that rendered German tactics obsolete, because the physics of combat cared nothing for courage or training or desire. Hartmann pulled the photograph from his jacket. Anna and Greta at the zoo. Greta laughing. He stood looking at it for a long time.
The reality was clear now. The gap was closing. Perhaps already closed. German interceptors would no longer work unhindered during that blessed window when bombers flew alone. From now on, every mission would involve fighting through escorts. Escorts that were faster, had longer range, better visibility, superior high-altitude performance. The attrition equation had shifted decisively. He put the photograph away and walked toward his quarters.
Tomorrow there would be another mission, another bomber stream, another generation of escorts. He would fly because that was his duty. He would fight because that was his purpose. But he understood now. Understood what those clean, purposeful lines meant. What that bubble canopy represented. What that ventral radiator scoop signified. It meant someone somewhere had solved problems the Germans couldn't, had taken time to design correctly, to test thoroughly, to manufacture precisely, had resources to build not dozens but hundreds, perhaps thousands. It meant the war's essential equation had changed. That evening, Hartmann sat alone in the officers' mess, writing a letter he would never send. Dear Anna and Greta, today, I saw the future of aerial combat. It is slender, fast, and American. It will change everything. The certainty we relied on, the gap, the blessed window when we could work unhindered, that certainty no longer exists. He stopped writing, crumpled the page, started again. Dear Anna and Greta, I am well. The weather is cold but clear. I flew today and returned safely. That is enough for now. I love you both. I will come home. That is my promise. He sealed the letter and set it aside for morning post. Outside, night had fallen. Somewhere in the darkness, ground crews worked under portable lamps. Somewhere planners drew red lines on maps. Somewhere factories built more fighters to replace the ones that wouldn't come home. And somewhere in hangars across the English Channel, American crews prepared those slender new fighters for tomorrow's mission, fueling them, arming them, checking systems, getting ready to fly deep into Germany, to stay overhead, to close the gap forever. Hartmann extinguished his lamp and sat in darkness. 127 missions complete. How many more until the equations caught up with him? He didn't want to know the answer. January 11th, 1944, 11:03 a.m., 28,000 feet above central Germany. The P-51 Mustangs come down like silver hawks. Noak brakes hard left, pure instinct. His Messerschmitt rolls violently. G-forces slam him into his seat. 4 Gs, 5. His vision greys at the edges. He tightens his stomach muscles, forces blood back to his brain. Behind him, tracers arc through the space where he was 3 seconds ago. Green phosphorus streaks, 50 caliber rounds, 6 guns per aircraft, each gun firing 850 rounds per minute. That's 5,100 rounds per minute combined. A wall of lead. Noak completes the break, reverses, looks for the attacker. There. A P-51 flashing past. Silver paint, bare metal. American star insignia on the fuselage. Predatory silhouette. Every line designed for speed. Nothing wasted. The canopy offers complete visibility. The pilot can see everything. Above, below, behind, no blind spots. The P-51 climbs away, doesn't pursue. Instead, it positions between Noak and the bomber formation. Escort tactics. Pure, disciplined. Noak keys his radio. All aircraft, new fighters, unknown type. Excellent performance. The radio erupts. Multiple voices, overlapping, shouting. They're everywhere. I count 20 plus. Where did they come from? JG-26 engaging. Noak forces himself to think, analyze. The tactical situation has changed, but how much? These new fighters, P-51s, they must have just arrived, replaced the P-47s. That means they have limited fuel.
Maybe 30 minutes, maybe less. The Germans still have the advantage. Numbers, position, and most critically time. Wait them out, let them burn fuel, then attack the bombers when these new escorts leave. Same strategy, just delayed. Noak calls his staffel. Maintain altitude, conserve fuel, they can't stay long. His pilots acknowledge. 8 Messerschmitts orbit at 32,000 feet. Watching, waiting. Below, the bomber formation continues toward Brunswick. 123 B-17s in this formation. Another 115 in a second formation 15 miles south. The P-51s weave above the bombers. Combat air patrol pattern. Defensive position. Noak checks his watch. 11:07 a.m. 4 minutes since the P-51s appeared. If they're like P-47s, they have maybe 26 minutes of combat time remaining. Then they'll have to leave. He can wait 26 minutes. But something nags at him. A detail. Wrong.
The P-51s crossed the German border at approximately the same time the P-47s turned back. That was 29 minutes ago. If the P-51s have 30-minute combat endurance, they should be departing now. They show no signs of withdrawal. 11:09 a.m. Still there, still weaving, still positioned defensively. Noak's wingman calls. Herr Oberleutnant, how long do we wait? Good question. Before Noak can answer, the radio crackles. Different voice. Fighter control. All units, JG-3 is engaging. Heavy combat. Southern formation. Noak looks south.
sees contrails merging, tangling, the distinctive spirals of dogfighting. JG-3 has 42 fighters. If they're engaging, the P-51s can't be everywhere. Some bombers must be exposed. Noak makes a decision. Follow me. We go down. 8 Messerschmitts roll and dive, targeting the bomber formation below. Standard attack. 7 o'clock high approach. They dive through 26,000 feet. 24. 22. The P-51s react instantly. 4 of them break from their patrol, dive to intercept. Noak sees them coming, adjusts. Instead of attacking bombers, he'll engage the P-51s, assess their capabilities, verify the intelligence reports. He pulls out of his dive at 20,000 feet, levels off. The 4 P-51s are above him now, 1,000 feet higher. Perfect bounce position for them. But Noak has speed from his dive. 420 miles per hour indicated. He can extend, create separation, then come back around. He pushes the throttle forward. Emergency power. The Daimler-Benz engine responds. Manifold pressure spikes. 1.42 ATA. Boost pressure. Short term only. 5 minutes maximum before engine damage. The Messerschmitt accelerates. 430 miles per hour. 440. 450. Noak glances back. The P-51s are following, also accelerating. He expects them to fall behind. The Messerschmitt Bf-109G has excellent speed. At 20,000 feet, it can reach 426 miles per hour maximum. He's exceeding that with emergency boost. But the P-51s aren't falling behind. They're keeping pace. Noak's hands tighten on the controls. This isn't right. The intelligence reports estimated the P-51's maximum speed at 440 miles per hour at 28,000 feet. At lower altitude, it should be slower. Denser air, more drag. But they're matching him. At 20,000 feet, at 450 miles per hour. The intelligence was incomplete. Noak tries another tactic. He pushes the nose down, converts altitude to speed, diving from 20,000 to 15,000 feet. The airspeed indicator climbs past 460, 470, the airframe shudders. Approaching structural limits, the P-51s follow, still there, still closing. At 15,000 feet, Noak pulls up hard, 6G turn, maximum. The Messerschmitt groans, metal flexing. He blacks out momentarily. Vision tunnels, then returns. He looks back. The P-51s completed the same turn. They're right behind him. 300 yards. Gun range. Noak breaks left. Hard. Then right. Then left again. Scissors maneuver. Defensive. Trying to force an overshoot. The lead P-51 follows every move. Precise. Disciplined. Not shooting. Just staying in position. Noak realizes something terrifying. The American pilot is better than him. Or the aircraft is better. Or both. He tries one more maneuver. The one that always works against P-47s. Slow down rapidly. Full flaps. Chop throttle. Force the attacker to overshoot. The Messerschmitt decelerates. 280 miles per hour. 250. 220. The P-51 doesn't overshoot. It matches. Slows down with him. Stays in position. Noak is out of options. He's defensive. About to be shot down. Against a fighter he's never seen before. Flown by a pilot he'll never meet. Then his wingman saves him. Diving from above. Firing. The P-51 breaks off. Evades. Noak escapes. He calls his staffel. Reform! Climb back to altitude. 8 Messerschmitts regroup. Climbing. Noak's hands shake slightly. Adrenaline. Fear. He grips the control stick tighter. Forces steadiness. His wingman calls. That was close, Herr Oberleutnant. Yes, thank you. What are these aircraft? They're fast. Very fast. Faster than intelligence reported. And maneuverable. The P-51 matched every move he made, turn for turn, in a Bf-109G, one of the best handling fighters in the world. Noak checks his watch again. 11:15 a.m., 12 minutes since the P-51s appeared. They should be departing soon. Fuel exhaustion. They have to. They remain overhead, persistent, unwavering. 11:17 a.m. Hauptmann Erich Hartmann, Jagdgeschwader 52, 12 miles south. Hartmann is 22 years old, already 106 confirmed victories. Youngest pilot to reach 100. Destined to become the highest-scoring ace in history. 352 victories by war's end. But today none of that matters. Today he's learning the same lesson as Noak. Hartmann leads 4 Messerschmitts attacking the southern bomber formation. Standard tactics. Dive from above. High-speed pass. Fire. Extend away. But the P-51s are there. They're always there. Wherever German fighters try to attack, P-51s intercept. Hartmann makes his run. Closes on a B-17, 400 yards, 350, 300. A P-51 appears from his right, out of nowhere. 45-degree deflection angle. The American pilot leads perfectly. 50 caliber rounds stream past Hartmann's canopy. Impacts on his right wing. Stitching pattern. 3 hits. 4. 5. Hartmann brakes hard.
The B-17 forgotten. Survival first. He dives. Full power. The altitude advantage works both ways. He's higher so he can dive faster. Build energy. Escape. The Messerschmitt plummets.
24,000 feet. 20, 18, 16. Hartmann levels at 14,000 feet. Airspeed 470 miles per hour. He looks back. The P-51 is still there. Not just following. Closing. Hartmann's surprise turns to shock. Nothing should keep up with a Bf-109G in a dive. The dive speed is one of the Messerschmitt's primary advantages. Against Spitfires, against P-47s, against everything. But the P-51 is faster. Hartmann tries to outturn it. Hard left, then right, then vertical. Rolling scissors. Every defensive maneuver he knows. The P-51 stays glued to his tail. At 12,000 feet, Hartmann realizes he's going to die. The American pilot has perfect position. Gun range, firing solution, it's over. Then the P-51 breaks off, pulls up, climbs back toward the bombers. Hartmann doesn't understand why. Did the American run out of ammunition malfunction? He doesn't wait to find out. He dives for the deck, 2,000 feet altitude, heads west. Running. Survival. For the first time in his career, Erich Hartmann flees from combat. Behind him, the P-51 rejoins its formation. Mission accomplished. Not to kill, to deter, to protect the bombers. The psychology of it is devastating. Hartmann will fly again tomorrow, but something inside him has broken. The certainty, the confidence, the belief in German superiority. Gone. 11:23 a.m. Major Johannes Steinhoff, Jagdgeschwader 77, Northern Sector. Steinhoff watches the tactical situation develop. He's not engaged yet. His Staffel orbits at 34,000 feet, observing. What he sees disturbs him. The P-51s are everywhere, more than he initially counted. Not 20, more like 35, maybe 40. And they're not withdrawing. 20 minutes of combat, still there, still effective. His radio fills with reports, none good. JG-3 lost 4 aircraft. JG-11 unable to reach bombers. These new fighters, they follow us down. I can't shake him. Can't shake him.
That last transmission cuts off, abruptly. Steinhoff knows what that means. He counts in his head. 4 confirmed losses, probably more unreported, in 20 minutes. Against how many P-51 losses? 0. As far as he can tell, 0. His wingman calls. Herr Major, orders? Steinhoff considers. The smart move is retreat, break contact, land, refuel, reassess. But his orders are explicit. Destroy the bombers, at all costs. He keys the radio. All aircraft, concentrated attack. We mass on the northern formation. 40 fighters. Overwhelm the escorts through numbers. Acknowledgements come back. Staffeln begin repositioning, coming together. This takes time. 5 minutes. 6. German fighters from 3 Jagdgeschwaders converge, breaking off individual engagements, climbing, reforming. The tactical concept is sound. Mass creates local superiority. 8 P-51s cannot stop 42 coordinated fighters. Cannot. By 11:29 a.m., 42 German fighters are assembled.
A massive formation. Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs mixed. The largest concentrated fighter attack Steinhoff has ever led. He scans the formation. Good discipline, proper spacing, everyone in position. Begin attack run. 42 fighters dive together. Tremendous. Powerful. The combined engine noise must be audible on the ground. A roar of defiance, of determination. Surely the handful of P-51s protecting this bomber formation can't stop all of them. The P-51s react. But there are only 8. 8 against 42. 5-1 odds. Overwhelming German advantage. The first German fighters reach gun range on the bombers. Steinhoff sees traces. Impacts. One B-17 begins trailing smoke. Wing root hit. Glycol leak. The bomber drops out of formation. Success. Then the other P-51s arrive. Not the 8. More. 16. 20. They come from the southern formation. They come from high altitude. They come from patrol stations Steinhoff didn't know existed.
And they're aggressive. Not defensive escort tactics. Offensive. Attacking. A P-51 overshoots past Steinhoff. He sees the pilot. Quick glimpse. Leather helmet. Oxygen mask. Dark goggles. Could be anyone. Could be him in different uniform. Same age. Same profession. Same dedication. Different flag. Steinhoff follows the P-51 through a turn. Tries to get firing position. The P-51 rolls inverted. Pulls through. Steinhoff follows, staying with him. They complete a full 360-degree turn. Energy neutral. The P-51 hasn't escaped. Steinhoff hasn't closed. Even match. Then the P-51 accelerates. Just accelerates. Pulls away. Level flight. Same altitude. No dive. Just raw speed. Steinhoff's Messerschmitt can't match it. He throttles forward. Emergency power. Not enough. The P-51 extends. Creates 500 yards separation. Then reverses. Now the advantage is his. Steinhoff breaks off. Calls his formation. Unable to engage effectively. All aircraft disengage.
Climb to altitude. Some acknowledge. Others are too busy fighting or dying. Steinhoff climbs, watches, counts. The massive German formation is scattered, broken. P-51s are everywhere, slashing through. Individual dogfights all around, and German fighters are falling. One trails smoke, heavy, black, glycol leak. The pilot bails out. Parachute opens, drifts down. He'll be captured, interrogated, then prison camp for the rest of the war, if he's lucky. Another spins, inverted flat spin, unrecoverable. It impacts the ground 20 seconds later. No parachute. The pilot never escaped, or tried and failed, or was already dead. A third breaks apart. Mid-air structural failure, wings folded up from excessive G-loading, trying to evade, pushed too hard. The pilot overstressed the airframe. It failed. He paid with his life. A fourth explodes, direct hit to fuel tank. The Messerschmitt becomes a fireball. Burning debris scatters across 3,000 feet of sky. The pilot never had a chance. Steinhoff feels sick. This isn't combat. This is a massacre. In 4 years of war, he's seen German fighters dominate. He's seen them hold even. He's seen them outnumbered but surviving through skill. He's never seen this. Complete tactical defeat. German fighters unable to reach bombers, unable to engage escorts effectively, unable to disengage safely, helpless. The bombers continue toward Brunswick, untouched except for the single damaged aircraft. The P-51s have done their job, not by shooting down every German fighter, by preventing them from reaching the bombers. Escort mission, successful. Steinhoff's formation is combat ineffective. 12 fighters scattered across 50 kilometers. 6 more trying to disengage from P-51s. 4 confirmed losses, more probably unreported. He calls fighter control. Request permission to return to base. Formation ineffective. Permission granted. The controller's voice is hollow. Defeated. He's hearing the same reports from every unit. 42 fighters attacked. Achieved nothing. Lost everything. 11:35 a.m. Lieutenant Gunther Rahl. Northern Formation. Rahl is 22. This is his 48th combat mission. 18 confirmed victories. Promising career. Today might be his last day. He's engaged with a P-51 for 6 minutes. 6 minutes of continuous maneuvering, turning, climbing, diving, rolling. 6 minutes is an eternity in air combat. Most engagements last 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, then someone wins or someone breaks off. But this P-51 won't break off. And Rahl can't shake him. They're down to 8,000 feet now. Started at 26. Bled altitude through turning. Energy management. Both pilots skilled. Neither making mistakes. Rahl's Messerschmitt handles beautifully at low altitude. The controls are crisp, responsive. He uses every trick, every maneuver. The P-51 counters everything. Rahl tries a chandelle, climbing turn. Trading speed for altitude usually works against P-47s. They're too heavy, can't follow. The P-51 follows, easily. Rahl tries a split S, roll inverted, pull down, dive away, fast reversal. The P-51 matches it, perfectly. Rahl tries a scissors, back and forth, lateral jinking, force and overshoot. The P-51 stays in position, patient, waiting. Rahl's fuel gauge reads critical, 22 litres remaining, maybe 8 minutes flight time. He's 40 miles from his base. He needs to leave now or he'll run out of fuel. He keys his radio, calls for help. Any friendly fighter nearby. No response. Everyone's engaged. Everyone's fighting. Everyone's dying. Rahl makes a decision. He rolls inverted, pulls hard, straight down. Vertical dive. Maximum speed. Desperate. Suicidal. But he's out of options. The Messerschmitt accelerates. 400 miles per hour. 450. 500. 520. The ground rushes up. 4,000 feet. 3,000. 2,000. Rahl pulls out. 6 Gs. 7. Vision goes black. Blood drains from his brain. He doesn't pass out. Just barely. Consciousness flickers. Returns. Levels at 500 feet. Trees flash past. A village. A road. A church steeple. He looks back, expecting the P-51 to have broken off. That dive was suicidal. No rational pilot follows that close to the ground. The P-51 is right there, 300 yards, in perfect firing position. Rahl freezes. This is it. He's about to die. The P-51 doesn't fire. Instead, it rocks its wings, side to side, 3 times, then pulls up, climbs away, accelerating. Gone. A salute. Rahl doesn't understand. Why didn't the American shoot? He had the shot. Perfect shot. Perfect angle. Perfect range. Then Rahl realizes. He's at 500 feet,
over German countryside, over that village. If he'd been shot down here, he'd have crashed into houses, killed civilians, women, children, the elderly. The American chose not to. Mercy. Humanity.
In the middle of war, or maybe professional respect, one pilot to another, you fought well, you earned survival. Today, Rawl turns toward his base, flies low, staying below radar, hands shaking, heart pounding, sweat soaking his flight suit despite the cold. He's alive. He doesn't know the American pilot's name, never will, but he'll remember that moment for the rest of his life. The moment an enemy showed mercy. 47 other German pilots aren't as lucky. 11:42 a.m. Radio intercepts. Fighter control station. The Luftwaffe controller listens to the chaos on multiple frequencies. His job is coordination. Vector fighters to targets. Provide tactical information. Maintain order. Order has collapsed. JG-11, we've lost contact with Staffel 2. JG-3 reports 8 aircraft shot down. JG-26 requests emergency landing clearance aircraft damaged. All units bombers reaching target area. Repeat, all units. The controller stops transmitting. No one is listening. Everyone is fighting, or fleeing, or dying. He switches to high command frequency, reports the situation. His voice is steady, professional, but his hands shake. Sir, we have sustained catastrophic losses. The new American fighter designation P-51 has achieved air superiority over the target area. Our fighters are unable to reach the bomber formations. Estimated losses, 45 to 50 aircraft. Enemy losses minimal. The response is silence. Then, confirmed 50 aircraft. Confirmed, sir. Possibly more. We've lost radio contact with multiple Staffeln. Understood. Continue monitoring. Report any changes. The controller hangs up, looks at his map. Red markers show German fighter positions, or where they were 5 minutes ago. Many have stopped moving, crashed, or ejected, or simply disappeared. Blue markers show the American formations. Bombers proceeding to target. Untouched. P-51s circling overhead. Continuous coverage. No gaps. The controller has been doing this job since 1940. He's coordinated hundreds of missions, thousands of sorties. He knows air combat, understands tactics, can predict outcomes. This is different. The Americans have changed the rules. They're not playing the same game anymore, and Germany is losing. 11:47 a.m. Noak, attempting withdrawal. Noak has been fighting for 44 minutes. His fuel is critical, 18 liters. His ammunition is nearly exhausted, 40 rounds remaining across all weapons. He calls his Staffel. All aircraft, return to base, disengage. 5 voices respond. Only 5. He started with 8. 3 are gone. Noak doesn't know if they're dead or landed elsewhere or bailed out. No time to think about it. No time to mourn. That comes later. If there is a later. He turns west, heading for Oldenburg, his base, 83 kilometers away. Fuel range is tight. Very tight, but possible. Behind him, 2 other Messerschmitts follow. His wingman and 1 other. The 5 becomes 3. 2 more broke off. Damaged, or out of fuel, or gave up. They climb to 10,000 feet. Cruise power, leaning the mixture, maximizing range. Every drop of fuel matters now. Noak checks 6 o'clock. Clear. No P-51s visible. Maybe they've given up. Maybe they're focused on other targets. Maybe he'll make it home. They fly for 8 minutes, covering 35 kilometers, almost halfway home. The radio is quiet. No fighter control, no warnings. Just static and breathing. Then Noak's wingman calls. Fighters behind 4 o'clock high. Noak looks. 2 P-51s. Diving. Closing. No. Not possible. How do they have fuel for this? He does the math in his head. The P-51s appeared at 11:03 a.m. It's now 11:55. 52 minutes. No fighter can sustain combat operations for 52 minutes and still have fuel to chase retreating aircraft 80 kilometers from the combat area. No fighter. But they're there. The P-51s close rapidly. Noak watches them in his mirror. Beautiful aircraft. Efficient. Deadly. He makes a choice. He can try to fight, try to evade, or run. Fighting is suicide. Low fuel, low ammunition, exhausted. Evading is pointless. The P-51s are faster, more maneuverable, better pilots, or better aircraft. Doesn't matter which. The result is the same. Running is his only option. But run where he drops to low altitude, 200 feet, following the terrain, rolling hills, forests, rivers, using ground clutter, hoping the Americans lose visual contact. The P-51s follow. They're not losing visual contact. They're gaining. 500 yards, 400, 350. Noak's wingman calls.
They're in gun range. Keep going. Don't engage. 300 yards. The P-51s are directly behind now. Both of them. Formation. Disciplined. Professional. They could fire. Noak would never see it coming. Just impacts. Then death. Noak waits for the impact.
50 caliber rounds tearing through his aircraft. The end. It doesn't come. The P-51s pull up. Turn east. Head back toward the bomber formations. They had him. Perfect shot. Perfect angle. Perfect range. They chose not to take it. Why Noak doesn't question it. He continues west, hands shaking worse than before. The close call has rattled him more than the combat did. They reached Oldenburg at 12:04 p.m. Fuel gauge reads 4 liters, less than 2 minutes remaining. Noak lands, rolls to a stop. Engine coughs, sputters, fuel starvation. Shuts down. Ground crew rush over. Are you hit, Herr Oberleutnant? No, not hit, just empty. He climbs out. Legs weak, hands still shaking. He removes his helmet. His hair is soaked with sweat. His face is pale. He looks 10 years older than he did this morning. This morning he walked to his aircraft confident, skilled, superior, master of his domain. Now he returns broken, beaten, changed. He walked out a hunter. He returned prey. 12:15 p.m. Debriefing room. Oldenburg. 23 Messerschmitts took off this morning from Oldenburg. Noak's Jagdgeschwader. 14 return. 9 are missing. 9 pilots. 9 aircraft. Some are dead. Some bailed out. Some landed at other bases. The accounting will take hours, days, but the bottom line is clear. 39% losses. Unsustainable. The intelligence officer stands at the front. Map behind him, marking confirmed losses with red X's. The map fills with red. Too much red. Report your engagements. The pilots speak one by one. Their stories are all the same. New American fighter, P-51, fast, maneuverable, long range, deadly. No one shot down a P-51. Multiple claims, 0 confirmations. The only P-51 losses were from other units. Ground fire, accidents, not air combat. The intelligence officer tallies the overall numbers, calls other bases, gets their reports. Jagdgeschwader 11, Jagdgeschwader 26, Jagdgeschwader 3, Jagdgeschwader 77. The numbers tell a story. A terrible story. Total German fighters lost today. 47 confirmed. Another 12 missing. Probably crashed. 59 total. American P-51 losses, 2 confirmed. Kill ratio 29-1. The room goes silent. These numbers are catastrophic, unsustainable, unacceptable, unbelievable. But true. Steinhoff speaks. His voice is quiet, controlled, but underneath despair. The P-51 changes everything. They can reach any target in Germany. They don't withdraw when we expect. We can't wait them out anymore. The intelligence officer nods. Confirmed. Signal intelligence indicates the P-51B has a combat radius of approximately 800 miles, with drop tanks. Berlin is within range. How many do they have? The 354th Fighter Group deployed approximately 50 aircraft today. Intelligence estimates 4 more groups will convert by March. 250 total P-51s. By summer, possibly 800. Noak does the math. 800 P-51s at a 29-1 kill ratio. 23,200 German fighters lost. Germany only has 1,750 fighters on the Western Front total. The arithmetic doesn't work. Can't work. Will never work. Steinhoff voices what everyone's thinking. How do we fight them? The intelligence officer has no answer. Neither does anyone else. One of the younger pilots speaks. We could refuse combat, stay on ground, wait for them to run out of fuel. Then the bombers destroy Germany unopposed, Steinhoff replies. Not an option. We could attack during takeoff and landing, when they're vulnerable. They'll defend their airfields, and we'd still have to fly through P-51 patrols to reach them. What about night attacks? The Americans bomb during day. We'd be attacking empty airfields at night while they bomb us during day. The younger pilot falls silent. Out of ideas. Everyone is. Finally, an older pilot speaks. One of the originals, flying since 1939. We have to accept it. They're better. The aircraft is better. The pilots are better trained. The tactics are better. We've lost. We haven't lost, Steinhoff says firmly. The war isn't over. The air war is. Today proved it. We can't protect Germany from bombing anymore. The P-51 ended that. No one argues. Because it's true. Everyone in the room knows it, felt it, experienced it. The realization that everything changed, that the advantage is gone, that the outcome is inevitable. The intelligence officer tries to sound optimistic. New fighters are in development. The Me-262 jet. It can outrun P-51s. If we can get enough Me-262s operational. How many do we have? Someone asks. Currently, 3 in testing. And we need 200, minimum, to make a difference. How long? 6 months, maybe a year. The room falls silent again. 6 months, a year.
In that time, how many more missions? How many more pilots lost? How many more cities bombed? The arithmetic tells the story. 12:30 p.m. Noak's quarters. Noak opens his diary. His hand still shakes slightly. He forces it steady. Begins writing. January 11th, 1944. Mission to Brunswick. Engaged new American fighter. P-51 Mustang. Results catastrophic. 47 confirmed losses today. 9 from our unit. The new American fighter performed beyond intelligence estimates. Speed exceeds 450 mph at altitude. Range permits continuous escort deep into Germany. Maneuverability equals or exceeds BF-109G. Tactical implications. Our strategy of waiting for escorts to depart is obsolete. The P-51 can remain over Germany indefinitely. We must engage them to reach bombers. We cannot defeat them in combat. The kill ratio is unsustainable. Personal assessment. Today was the turning point. Not because we lost 47 aircraft. We've had losses before. But because we achieved nothing.
0 bombers shot down by our Staffel. The Americans completed their mission without interference. We were irrelevant. For 2 years we controlled when and where combat occurred. That control is gone. The Americans decide now. They have the range, the performance, the numbers. We react. We survive if we can. We die if we can't. He pauses. Pen hovering. What else to write? How to capture the feeling? The realization that everything you believed was wrong. Everything you relied on was gone. The advantage you held has disappeared. The enemy you underestimated is superior. I watched them today, the P-51s. How they moved, how they fought. Professional, disciplined, skilled. Their pilots are good, perhaps better than us. Certainly better trained. 400 hours training versus our 160 now. More importantly, they had confidence. They knew they were better, knew their aircraft was superior, knew they would win. That confidence is dangerous. It makes them aggressive.
Effective. Deadly. We have lost that confidence. I felt it today. The fear, the doubt, the knowledge that engaging them means probable death. That changes how you fight. Makes you hesitant, defensive, defeated before combat even begins. The war isn't over. 16 months remain if intelligence estimates are correct. We'll keep fighting. Orders are orders. Duty is duty. But the outcome is no longer in doubt. January 11th, 1944. The day we first saw P-51 Mustangs. The day we became prey. He closes the diary. Stares at the wall. Outside, mechanics work on damaged aircraft. Ground crew reload ammunition. Refuel tanks. Preparing for tomorrow's missions. Tomorrow they'll fly again. And the day after. And the day after. But the outcome is decided. The P-51 has answered the one question that mattered. Can American fighters escort bombers all the way to target and back? Yes. And with that answer, Germany lost the air war. Not today, not this week, not this month, but inevitably.
Certainly, mathematically. 12:45 p.m. Across Germany, other airfields. The same scene repeats at a dozen bases. Debriefings, casualties counted, aircraft assessed, pilots shaken. At Rainer, JG-26 lost 11 fighters, shot down 7, 4 missing. At Gütersloh, JG-3 lost 13, 6 confirmed dead, 7 missing. At Schleißheim, JG-77 lost 9, all 9 confirmed destroyed. The pattern is consistent. Every unit that engaged P-51s suffered catastrophic losses. Every unit that tried to reach the bombers failed. At Luftwaffe High Command in Berlin, the reports arrive. Teletype messages, radio communications, telephone calls. The staff compiles data, creates summaries, briefs senior leadership. The numbers are undeniable. 11th of January 1944. Mission to Brunswick, Oschersleben. German fighters committed 238 aircraft. Bombers shot down 5 from all causes, including flak. German fighters lost 47, confirmed 12 missing. Total 59. American P-51 losses, 2.
Bomber mission successful. Targets hit. Minimal losses. Assessment: new American fighter P-51 Mustang has achieved tactical superiority. Current German tactics ineffective. Immediate strategic reassessment required. The report goes to Reichsmarshal Goering. He reads it, crumples it, throws it across the room. Lies, defeatist lies. but the aide who delivered it stands firm. Sir, these are confirmed reports from multiple units, cross-checked, verified. Then our pilots are incompetent cowards. Sir, these are our best pilots, aces, veterans. They fought as hard as they could. The American aircraft is superior, significantly superior. Goering's face reddens. Nothing is superior to German engineering, German pilots. The Americans build cars, not fighters. The aide says nothing, because arguing with Goering is suicide. Career suicide at minimum. Actual suicide sometimes. But the numbers don't lie. The P-51 is here. It's real. It's better. And Germany has no answer.
13 hours. American side. 354th Fighter Group. RAF Boxted. Captain James Howard lands his P-51. Tail number B6S. His regular aircraft. He taxis to the hard stand. Ground crew swarm the aircraft, checking for damage, refueling, rearming. Howard climbs out. Unlike the German pilots, he's smiling, energized, exhilarated. His first combat mission in the P-51, and it was everything they promised. The range, the speed, the handling, perfect. He downed 2 German fighters, confirmed, one Bf-109, one FW-190. Both went down in flames. Pilots bailed out, probably survived, but more importantly, he protected the bombers. That was the mission. Not kills. Protection. And they did it. Every bomber in his section made it to target and back. 0 losses. His squadron commander approaches. Good work, Howard. I saw your kills. Thank you, sir. The 51 performs exactly as advertised. Better, actually. Did you see the Jerry trying to outrun you? I did. He couldn't. We had 50 miles per hour on him. Easy. And the range. We were over Germany for an hour. Still had fuel to spare. Howard nods. This changes everything, sir. We can go anywhere now. They can't wait us out anymore. That's the plan. Starting today, we escort all the way to target. Every mission. No gaps. In the debriefing room, pilots report their engagements. The intelligence officer tallies results. 354th Fighter Group results. 11th of January 1944. Sorties flown 48 P-51 aircraft. German fighters destroyed, 18 confirmed, 7 probable, 12 damaged. Own losses, 1 aircraft, mechanical failure, pilot safe, bombers lost from escorted formations. 0 mission assessment, complete success. The mood is jubilant, celebratory. This is vindication, proof that the P-51 works, that the concept works, that they can win the air war. The group commander addresses the pilots. Gentlemen, today you made history. First deep penetration escort mission by P-51 Mustangs.
The results speak for themselves. 18. Jerry fighters down. 0 bombers lost. This is what we trained for. This is what the Mustang was built for. Cheers. Applause. Starting tomorrow, we do it again. And the day after. And the day after that. We're going to escort bombers to Berlin if necessary. And we're going to bring every bomber home. That's our job. That's our mission. And now finally we have the aircraft to do it. More cheers. Howard feels pride, satisfaction. They've proven something today. Not just that the P-51 is good, that American pilots are good, that American tactics work, that they can win. Across the English Channel, 59 German pilots will never fly again. Their families will receive telegrams. Regret to inform you. Killed in action, missing in action, wounded in action. Howard doesn't think about that. Can't think about that. They're the enemy. They bomb London. They sink ships. They kill Allied soldiers. This is war. People die. Better them than us. But years later after the war, Howard will meet some of those German pilots, survivors, at reunions, air shows, museums. They'll shake hands, exchange stories, find common ground. And Howard will realize something. They were just like him, doing their job, following orders, trying to survive. The only difference was the flag they flew under. And on January 11th, 1944, one flag had better aircraft. That made all the difference. February the 3rd, 1944. 3 weeks after the first P-51 encounter. Oldenburg Airfield. Noakes stands on the flight line. Dawn light cuts across frozen concrete. Temperature minus 12 Celsius. Clear sky. Perfect flying weather. Perfect killing weather. He watches mechanics prepare his Messerschmitt. Same aircraft. White 7. 3 weeks ago it had minor damage. Fabric torn from wing. Bullet holes patched. Hydraulic line replaced. Today, it's pristine again. Ready. The aircraft doesn't care what happened on January 11th. It doesn't remember, doesn't fear. Noak wishes he could say the same.
He's flown 32 missions since that day. 32 times climbing into the cockpit, 32 times facing P-51s. He's still alive, still uninjured. But 14 of his fellow pilots aren't. The arithmetic of attrition is relentless, predictable, fatal. A truck arrives. New pilots, replacements, 6 of them, young faces, eager, excited. They think this is an adventure. Noak watches them climb down, barely old enough to shave. He approaches. The oldest looks about 20, maybe. "I'm Oberleutnant Knoke. You're assigned to my Staffel." They snap to attention. Salute. "Herr Oberleutnant, how many training hours do you have?" The oldest speaks. 158 hours, sir. Graduated top of my class." 158 hours. Noak had 300 before his first combat mission, in 1940, when Germany had time, resources, fuel for training. "Any of you flown against simulated bomber formations? Head shakes? No. Combat tactics? Deflection shooting? High-altitude operations?" More head shakes. Noak feels something break inside. These aren't pilots. They're sacrifices. Sent to die because Germany has aircraft but no time to train properly. "Listen carefully," he says. "The Americans have a new fighter, P-51 Mustang. It's faster than our aircraft, longer range. You cannot outrun it. You cannot hide from it." The young pilots exchange glances. Uncertainty now. Fear creeping in. "Your only chance of survival is discipline. Stay in formation. Never separate. Never chase individual targets. If you get separated, you die. Understand?" "Jawohl, Herr Oberleutnant." But Knoke knows understanding doesn't matter. Statistics don't lie. New pilots with 160 hours training have an average survival time of 11 missions, 11 flights, then they're dead or wounded or captured. 11 missions at 4 per day. 3 days. These 6 pilots have 3 days to live. One of them, Lieutenant Hans Weber, looks particularly young. 18 years old. 6 months ago he was in gymnasium, studying literature. Now he's here, learning how to die. "Stay on my wing," Knoke tells him. "Watch me. Copy what I do. Don't try to be a hero." "Yes, Herr Oberleutnant." Knoke sees his own younger self in Weber's eyes. The confidence, the belief that skill and bravery matter. They don't. Not anymore. Not against 800 P-51s. February 10th, 1944. Mission briefing. The intelligence officer stands before 32 pilots. Map behind him. Red lines marking bomber routes. Blue circles marking targets. Today's mission. American bomber formation. Estimated strength, 300 B-17s and B-24s. Target Frankfurt. Fighter escort anticipated. P-47 Thunderbolts and P-51 Mustangs. The room tenses at P-51. Everyone knows that word now. Synonymous with death. Intelligence reports 3 American fighter groups have converted to P-51s. The 354th, 357th and 363rd. Approximately 150 aircraft total. They can escort bombers to any target in Germany. One pilot raises his hand. "What are our orders?" "Destroy the bombers. Avoid extended engagement with escorts. Hit-and-run tactics." Hit and run doesn't work against P-51s. They pursue indefinitely. The intelligence officer has no response. Because it's true. Every tactic German pilots developed over 4 years of war is now obsolete. Wait out the escorts. No effect. Dive away. They follow faster. Climb above. They climb higher. Steinhoff speaks from the back. "We mass our forces. 50 fighters concentrated. Attack single bomber formation simultaneously. Overwhelm the escorts through numbers." The intelligence officer nods. "Approved. Multiple Jagdgeschwaders will coordinate. Attack time 11:15 a.m. Target lead bomber formation over Frankfurt." Knoke studies the map. Frankfurt is 420 kilometers from Oldenburg. Flight time approximately 55 minutes at cruise. Combat radius barely sufficient. Fuel will be critical. Everything is critical now. Weber sits beside Knoke, studying the map intently, trying to memorize details, routes, altitudes, radio frequencies. "You won't remember any of this once combat starts," Knoke says quietly. Weber looks up, startled. "When the shooting begins, you'll forget the briefing, your training. Everything except survival. That's normal. Expected. Just stay with the formation. Don't separate." "I understand, Herr Oberleutnant." "No, you don't. But you will." 10:47 a.m. Knoke's Messerschmitt, climbing through 20,000 feet. Radio chatter increases. Multiple German formations converging. Jagdgeschwader 11. Jagdgeschwader 26. Jagdgeschwader 3. Jagdgeschwader 77. More than 100 fighters total. The largest coordinated attack since January 11th. Knoke leads his Staffel. 8 aircraft. Should be 12. 4 are missing.
2 shot down last week, 1 damaged beyond repair, 1 pilot in hospital with frostbite, amputation likely. The 6 new pilots are in the formation, flying wing positions, easiest spots, least responsibility. Noak assigned experienced pilots to lead them, protect them. It won't be enough. It's never enough. Weber flies tight formation on Noak's right wing, too tight, over-controlling, nervous. Noak gestures with his hand. Relax, ease off. Weber adjusts. Slightly better. 10:58 a.m. Fighter control vectors them toward the bombers. Course 145, altitude 8,000 meters, distance 30 kilometers. Noak spots the contrails. Massive formations. 300 bombers create a lot of contrails. White lines stretching across the sky, beautiful and terrible, and above them, more contrails, smaller, tighter. The escorts, P-51s, Noak counts, 30 visible, probably more beyond visual range, waiting, always waiting.
His hands tighten on the control stick. Muscle memory, fear. He forces them to relax. Can't show weakness. The new pilots are watching, learning from him. 11:12 a.m. All German formations are in position. 107 fighters. Coordinated attack. 3 minutes. Steinhoff's voice on radio. Calm, measured. All units, prepare for attack run. Target northern combat box. Focus on bombers. Disengage after 1 pass. Do not pursue individual targets. Acknowledgements flood back. 107 pilots. 107 voices. Some won't speak again after today. Noak checks Weber. Still in formation. Good. 11:15 a.m. Attack! 107 fighters dive together. It's magnificent. Terrifying. The most powerful strike force Noak has ever seen. Surely nothing can stop this. The P-51s react immediately. They don't scatter, don't panic. They form defensive screens, positioning between the German fighters and bombers. Noak's staffel accelerates. 400 miles per hour.
420, 440. The bombers grow larger, closer. 2 P-51s maneuver to intercept. Just 2. Against 8 Messerschmitts. Brave. Futile. Or so Noak thinks. The first P-51 fires head-on. Suicidal tactic. Closing speed 800 miles per hour combined. Collision risk enormous, but effective. Noak breaks right. His staffel scatters. The formation breaks. Suddenly it's 8 individuals instead of 1 coordinated unit. Weber follows Noak through the break. Good. Still with him. The second P-51 follows Noak through the break. Staying close. Too close. Noak reverses left, then right. Scissors maneuver. The P-51 matches perfectly. Behind him, Noak hears screaming on the radio. One of his pilots, one of the new ones, 20 years old, 3 days in the unit. He's on me, I can't shake him. Then silence. Abrupt. Final. Noak can't help. He's defensive, fighting for his own life. The massive coordinated attack has dissolved. 107 fighters scattered across 50 cubic kilometers of sky. Individual dogfights everywhere. The plan failed within 90 seconds. Noak manages to separate from his P-51, gets distance, looks for bombers. They're still there. Formation intact, continuing toward Frankfurt. A few German fighters reach them. Maybe 10, maybe 15. He sees 1 B-17 trailing smoke, falling out of formation. 1 bomber out of 300. The cost: 23 German fighters, 23 pilots, 23 families, 23 letters to write. For 1 B-17. The numbers were unforgiving, impossible, unsustainable. Noak calls his staffel. Reform on me. Disengage. Return to base. 5 voices respond. Only 5. He started with 8. Weber is one of them. Still alive. Somehow. They climb away from the combat, heading west. Behind them, the P-51s don't pursue. They return to the bombers. Discipline. Professional.
Noak's fuel gauge reads critical. 32 liters. Enough to reach base. Barely. During the flight home, Weber's voice comes over the radio, shaking. Herr Oberleutnant, Lieutenant Schmidt, did he? Yes, he's gone. Silence. Weber is learning what Knoke learned years ago. Your friends die, you keep flying. That's the job. February 20th, 1944. Luftwaffe High Command briefing, Berlin. Reichsmarschall Hermann Goering sits at the head of the table. Overweight, overdressed, ridiculous uniform covered in medals, but still dangerous, still powerful. Around the table, senior commanders. Steinhoff is there, representing operational pilots. Youngest officer present. Goering speaks.
Explain to me how American bombers are reaching targets unmolested. Where is our fighter force? An uncomfortable silence. Finally, one general response. We are engaging Herr Reichsmarschall daily, multiple missions. But the new American fighter, the P-51, has changed the tactical situation.
How? Range. The P-51 can escort bombers to any target in Germany. We can no longer wait for escorts to leave. They remain overhead indefinitely. Then destroy them. We try, but the loss ratio is unsustainable. For every P-51 shot down, we lose 9 fighters. Goering slams his fist on the table. Then train better pilots. Another general speaks carefully. Training time has been reduced. We're losing experienced pilots faster than we can train replacements. New pilots receive 160 hours before combat deployment. In 1942, it was 300 hours. Give them more time. We don't have time, or fuel. Training fuel allocation has been cut 40%. Production fuel goes to combat operations. Then increase production. Aircraft production is increasing. We're building more fighters than ever, 850 per month. But pilot attrition exceeds production. January losses 280 fighters. February estimate 350.
March projection 450.
The numbers hang in the air. Goering's face reddens. Are you telling me we're losing the air war? No one speaks. The answer is yes. Everyone knows it. No one dares say it. Steinhoff clears his throat. Herr Reichsmarschall, may I speak frankly? Goering waves permission. The P-51 is not just a better aircraft. It represents a strategic shift. The Americans have solved the fundamental problem of bomber escort. As long as they have unlimited fuel, unlimited production, and pilots with 400 hours training versus our 160 statistical probability favors them, we cannot win through attrition. Then what do you suggest? New technology, the Me-262 jet. It can outrun P-51s. 4 30mm cannons can destroy bombers with single bursts. If we deploy 200 Me-262s, we can regain air superiority. Goering considers. The Führer has mandated the Me-262 be developed as a bomber.
With respect, Herr Reichsmarschall, that decision is costing us the war.
The room freezes, criticizing Hitler directly, even indirectly, dangerous, potentially fatal. Goering stares at Steinhoff. 10 seconds, 20, then he nods. I will discuss with the Führer. No promises. The meeting ends. Steinhoff leaves, knowing his suggestion will go nowhere. Hitler doesn't change his mind. The Me-262 will remain a bomber. German pilots will keep dying, and the Americans will keep coming. Outside, Steinhoff lights a cigarette, hands shaking slightly. He could be arrested for that statement, sent to a camp, executed. But what's the alternative? Watch Germany lose through silence. Another officer approaches. Oberst Werner Mölders, fighter tactics specialist. That was brave, or stupid. Probably both, Steinhoff says. The Me-262 won't save us. Even if Hitler approved it tomorrow, we'd need 2 years to produce enough. We don't have 2 years. I know.
But we have to try something. Doing nothing means certain defeat. Doing something also means defeat, just slower. They smoke in silence. 2 men who understand what others refuse to see. The war is lost, has been lost since January 11th. Everything now is just delay. Postponement. Watching the inevitable unfold. March 6th, 1944. Mission over Berlin. Berlin, the capital, the heart of Germany. 4 years into the war, American bombers finally have the range to reach it and return because of P-51s. Noak leads his Staffel on their 4th mission of the day. He's exhausted. They all are. Flying 4 to 6 missions daily. Sleeping 4 hours per night. Eating when possible. Existing on adrenaline and fear. His Staffel strength is down to 6 aircraft. Started the month with 12. Lost 2. 4 damaged awaiting repair. No replacements available. Of the 6 new pilots who arrived February 3rd, 3 are dead. 2 are wounded. 1 remains. Weber. Somehow. He's flown 28 missions in 33 days. Survived through luck or skill or divine intervention. Noak doesn't know which. Weber has changed. The eagerness is gone. Replaced by quiet competence, grim determination. He's learned the lesson. Survival requires caution, discipline, never taking chances. They climb toward Berlin, 800 meters per minute. The Daimler-Benz engine straining, fuel mixture lean, everything conserved, everything rationed. At 28,000 feet, they level off. Noak scans the sky, contrails everywhere, bombers and escorts mixed. Impossible to count. 200,
300 more. The P-51s have multiplied. 5 fighter groups now converted. 250 aircraft. They're everywhere. Always. No matter where German fighters go, P-51s are there first. Fighter control calls. All units, large bomber formation approaching from northwest. Coordinate attack. Noak doesn't respond. Doesn't attack. He orbits. Watching.
Waiting for an opportunity that never comes. His wingman calls. Herr Oberleutnant, orders. What orders can he give? Attack and die, retreat and be called coward. There are no good choices anymore. We patrol, maintain altitude, observe. Weber's voice. Sir, we're just watching them bomb Berlin. Yes. Shouldn't we do something? What would you suggest, Lieutenant? Silence. Weber has no answer, because there is no answer. They circle Berlin, watching American bombers drop their loads on German factories, German homes, German civilians, watching smoke rise, fires spread, the city burn, and they do nothing. Because doing something means dying, and dying achieves nothing when there are always more bombers tomorrow, more P-51s, more missions. After 45 minutes, the bombers turn west, heading home. The P-51s escort them out. Still flying, still dangerous, still dominant. Noak's fuel gauge reads critical. Time to land. They descend toward their airfield. Another mission complete. Another day survived. But survival feels like defeat. Weber lands after Noak, climbs out of his cockpit slowly, removes his helmet. His face is pale, drawn. He's aged 10 years in 1 month. Noak approaches. You did well today. We did nothing today. Exactly. You're learning. Learning what? How to be a coward. Noak grabs Weber's shoulder. Hard. Listen to me. Courage is not throwing your life away for nothing. Courage is living, surviving, so you can fight another day when it might matter. When will it matter? Noak has no answer, because he doesn't know if it will ever matter again. April 15th, 1944. Noak receives new orders. Transfer to Me-262 conversion unit. Jet fighter training. Expected duration 3 weeks. Noak reads the orders twice. Me-262. Germany's jet fighter. 2 Junkers Jumo 004 turbojets. Maximum speed 540 miles per hour. 100 miles per hour faster than P-51. 4 30mm Mk108 cannons. 1 burst can destroy a bomber. This is the answer. The weapon that can defeat the P-51. Outrun it, outdive it, kill it. He reports to Lechfeld, the Me-262 training facility, southern Germany, away from American bombing, for now. The first time Noak sees an Me-262 on the ground, he's struck by how different it looks. Sleek, modern, futuristic, swept wings, engines mounted beneath, tricycle landing gear, nothing like the Messerschmitt. His instructor is Hauptmann Wolfgang Später, experienced test pilot, 27 jet flight hours, more than anyone else. The 262 is not a conventional fighter, Später explains. Everything you know about piston engines is wrong here. The jets don't respond immediately. Throttle lag is 4 to 6 seconds. You advance throttle, nothing happens, then suddenly full power. You must anticipate. What about combat performance? Against B-17s, devastating. You close at 540 miles per hour. The bombers can't track you. You fire. 4 30mm cannons. 1 second burst. Bomber destroyed. Then extend away. They can't catch you. And against P-51s, Später hesitates. You can outrun them. Easily. But if they catch you slow, taking off or landing, you're vulnerable. The jets accelerate slowly. P-51s can shoot you down during takeoff roll. So we're only safe at high speed. Exactly. The 262 is a speed weapon. Use speed, you're invincible. Lose speed, you're dead. Noak begins training. The Me-262 handles differently. Heavier, less responsive. The throttle lag is dangerous. Several pilots crash during training. Advancing throttle on landing approach. Nothing happens, then sudden power when they're 10 feet up. They overshoot, or stall, or spin. 3 pilots die in accidents, training accidents, before ever seeing combat. But when it works, the 262 is magnificent. Noak's first high-speed run. 530 miles per hour indicated. The world blurs. Other aircraft seem stationary. He could fly circles around P-51s. They couldn't touch him. If only Germany had 2,000 Me-262s. They don't. They have 30. Production problems.
Engine reliability issues. Each Jumo 004 turbojet lasts 10 to 25 hours before failure. Replacement engines are scarce, and Hitler's interference. The Me-262 must carry bombs, must be a bomber, not a fighter. Valuable time wasted modifying aircraft for bombing role, time Germany doesn't have. During training, Knoke meets another pilot, Major Walter Nowotny, already famous. 258 victories, one of Germany's top aces. "What do you think of the jet?" Nowotny asks. "It's incredible, but we're training 20 pilots. We need 2,000. 2,000 pilots or 2,000 aircraft?" "Both," Nowotny nods. "I flew against P-51s last month. 4 of them cornered me. I barely escaped. The 262 is our only answer, but it's coming too late." "How late?" "A year too late, maybe 2. If we'd had this in 1942, we'd have won the air war. Now we're just delaying the inevitable." They watch a Me-262 take off, engines screaming, climbing steeply, powerful, deadly, useless in small numbers. "I'm going back to operations next week," Nowotny says, leading the first operational Me-262 unit. "How many aircraft?" 12, against 800 P-51s. The numbers make Knoke want to laugh, or cry. "Good hunting," he says. "There's no hunting anymore," Nowotny replies. "Only survival." July 29, 1944. Knoke's first Me-262 combat mission. Knoke completes training, qualifies on Me-262, assigned to JG-7, Jagdgeschwader 7, first operational jet fighter unit, based at Brandenburg-Brest. He arrives June 1944. The unit has 12 operational aircraft. 12. To defend all of Germany. His first mission. July 29th. 2 Me-262s versus 400 B-17s and 300 P-51 escorts. The numbers are absurd. Suicidal. But orders are orders. Knoke and his wingman take off. The Me-262 accelerates slowly. 20 seconds on runway. Vulnerable. Exposed. If P-51s are nearby, this is when they attack. The runway is clear. They lift off. Gear up. Accelerate. 300 miles per hour. 400. 500. Safe now. Speed is safety. They climb to 30,000 feet. Spot the bomber formation. Massive. Escort fighters everywhere. Knoke selects his target. Lead bomber in the formation. He rolls inverted. Dives. Accelerates to 520 miles per hour. The closure rate is incredible. The B-17 grows from dot to full size in 6 seconds. Knoke centers the Pipper. Range closes. 800 meters. 600. 400. Fires. 4 30mm cannons, each firing 650 rounds per minute. Rate of fire 43 rounds per second combined. He fires for 1.2 seconds. 52 shells. 23 hit the B-17. Each shell contains 85 grams of high explosive. The bomber's right wing disintegrates. Fuel tanks explode. The aircraft breaks apart. Knoke doesn't watch. He's already extending. Full throttle. 540 miles per hour. Climbing away. P-51s try to intercept. They can't. He's too fast. 100 miles per hour faster. They fall behind. For the first time in 6 months, Knoke feels something like hope. Finally, a weapon that works, that gives Germany a chance. He lands back at Brandenburg. Taxis in. Ground crew swarm the aircraft. The crew chief approaches. "Congratulations, Herr Major. Confirmed kill." Knoke nods. 1 B-17, his 48th confirmed victory, promoted to Major 2 months ago. The rank feels hollow, meaningless. Then the crew chief continues. "But we have problems. Engine number 2 is damaged. Turbine blades cracked. We need replacement engine." "How long?" "We have no engines. Waiting for delivery from factory. Maybe 5 days, maybe 10. 1 mission, 1 kill. Now grounded for a week. Minimum. This is why the Me-262 can't save Germany. Not enough aircraft, not enough engines, not enough time, not enough anything. August-October 1944. The grind continues. Knoke flies when his aircraft is operational. 1 mission every 5 days, sometimes 7. Between missions, he watches the war deteriorate. American bomber formations grow larger. 500 aircraft, 600. The sky fills with contrails. P-51s swarm like locusts. German defenses crumble. Experienced pilots die. Replacements arrive with less training. 100 hours, 80. Some with only 60 hours total flight time. They die within days. Weber is still alive, promoted to Oberleutnant. Now leads his own Staffel. 8 aircraft. But rarely are all 8 operational. Fuel shortages. Spare parts exhausted. Pilots sick or wounded. The Eastern Front collapses. The Russians advance. Warsaw falls. Then Bucharest. Then Belgrade. In the west, Allied armies break out from Normandy.
Paris liberated, then Brussels, then Antwerp. Germany shrinks, the noose tightens, and still the bombers come. Every day, morning and afternoon, Dresden, Munich, Stuttgart, Nuremberg, every major city, every industrial center, every rail hub. The Reich is burning. Noak flies his Me-262 when possible, shoots down 2 more bombers, brings his total to 50 confirmed victories, a significant achievement, meaningless, because for every bomber he destroys 10 more get through, 20 more. The American production capacity is inexhaustible. In October, terrible news. Walter Nowotny killed, shot down by P-51s during landing approach. The Me-262's vulnerability, caught slow, caught low, killed by the very aircraft he could outrun at altitude. 258 victories, dead at 23 years old.
Noak attends the funeral. Berlin. Full military honors. Goering gives the eulogy. Pompous, self-serving, nauseating. After the ceremony, Noak finds Steinhoff. Smoke break. Neither speaks for several minutes. Finally, Steinhoff says, "We're not going to win this war." "I know. I don't mean lose gradually. I mean collapse. Total, complete. Probably by spring." "Yes. What do we do?" Noak doesn't answer. Because there is no answer. Surrender means execution for defeatism. Keep fighting means dying for a lost cause. There are no good options. There never were. December 1944. Winter crisis. Fuel becomes critical. Oil refineries bombed. Supply lines cut. Synthetic fuel production destroyed. The Luftwaffe receives fuel allocations. Priority to jets. Me-262s can still fly. Conventional fighters grounded. No fuel. Noak's unit has 8 operational Me-262s, down from 12. Attrition. Accidents. Lack of spare parts. They fly 1 mission per week, sometimes less. Defend critical targets. Ball-bearing factories. Oil refineries. What's left of them? The missions are successful. The Me-262 is dominant, but 8 aircraft can't defend all of Germany. American production continues. P-51 numbers increase. 800, 900, 1,000. They're everywhere. December 24th, Christmas Eve. No missions, fuel conservation. Noak sits in his quarters, alone, writes in his diary. First entry in weeks. December 24th, 1944, Christmas Eve. No flying, no fuel. We have 8 operational jets. They have 1,000 fighters. We're playing a children's game, pretending we can still resist. The end is coming. Everyone knows it. Russians 150 kilometers from Berlin. Americans at the Rhine. Germany surrounded. I wonder if I'll survive to see peace. Or if peace even matters anymore. He closes the diary, stares at nothing. Outside, distant sounds of artillery. The Eastern Front draws closer. February 13th, 1945. Dresden. Noak is grounded. Shoulder injury from crash landing 2 weeks ago. Me-262 engine failure. Turbine exploded. Shrapnel through canopy. Lucky to survive. He's at a hospital in Dresden, recovering. Watching the war from ground level. February 13th evening. Air raid sirens. Common now. Daily occurrence. Everyone moves to shelters. Routine. Practiced. Noak remains in hospital room, upper floor, watches through window, the city at night, street lights off, blackout conditions, stars visible overhead, beautiful night. Then he hears them. Engines, hundreds of engines, RAF Lancaster bombers, British night attack, different from American day bombing. The British come at night, drop incendiaries, burn cities. The first wave arrives, 22 pungy hours. 250 Lancasters, they drop bombs, not high explosive, incendiaries, thermite, magnesium, chemicals designed to burn. Dresden begins to burn. Noak watches from his window, fires spreading block by block. The flames create their own wind, feeding themselves, growing. The smoke rises, thick, black, blotting out stars. He sees people in the streets, running, trying to escape the fires. Some carry belongings, some carry children, some carry nothing, just running. The fires spread faster than people can run. A woman below collapses, 3 children with her, the oldest maybe 10. They huddle together, nowhere to go. Fire surrounds them. Noak wants to help. Can't. Too far. Too injured. Can only watch. The children don't scream. They hold each other, waiting for the end. Then the flames take them. Noak turns away. Can't watch anymore. Can't bear it. The second wave arrives. 1:30, next morning. 550 more Lancasters. They target the fires, drop more incendiaries, more high explosive, creating firestorm. The hospital shakes. Windows rattle. The heat outside is intense, even inside 400 meters from nearest fires. A nurse enters. "Major, we're evacuating. The fires are spreading. We need to move patients." "Where?" "Anywhere. The outskirts. away from the city centre. Noak can barely walk, shoulder useless, but he helps where he can, carrying supplies, guiding patients, moving through smoke-filled corridors. By dawn, Dresden is gone, not damaged, gone, destroyed, burned, 130,000 dead, maybe more, impossible to count. Noak stares at the ruins, ash falling like snow, the city he knew erased, and he couldn't stop it. No German fighters could. The Me-262s were grounded, fuel shortage. The conventional fighters can't fly at night effectively. Helpless, powerless, defeated. This is what losing the air war means. Your cities burn, your people die, and you watch, unable to intervene, unable to change anything. For the first time since January 11th, 1944, Noak cries. April 21st, 1945. Final days. Noak returns to his unit. What remains of it? JG7 has 6 operational Me-262s. 6, down from 20. Attrition. Accidents. Battle damage. No replacements. The Americans are 60 kilometers away. The Russians 120. Germany has weeks left, maybe days. Orders come. All remaining Me-262s grounded. No fuel. 0. The fuel depots are captured or bombed. The refineries destroyed. The pipelines cut. Aircraft with no fuel are lawn ornaments. Expensive, sophisticated, useless lawn ornaments. Noak receives one final mission. Destroy the jets. Don't let them fall into enemy hands. Burn them. Blow them up. Deny the Allies the technology. He walks to his Me-262. Tail number White 9. His aircraft for 6 months. 8 confirmed kills from this jet. Survived 23 missions. He places explosive charges, thermite grenades, enough to melt the engines, destroy the airframe beyond repair. Before he sets the fuses, he stands back. Looks at the aircraft one last time. This machine could have saved Germany, if we'd had 2,000 of them. If we'd started production 2 years earlier. If Hitler hadn't interfered. If. History is made of ifs. He sets the fuses. 3 minutes. Walks away. Behind him, the Me-262 explodes. Metal melts. Aircraft destroyed. Noak doesn't look back. Weber stands nearby, watching his own Messerschmitt burn. The conventional fighters also being destroyed. Nothing left for the enemy. What do we do now, Herr Major? We survive, if we can. Survive for what? Peace, eventually, if we live that long. They walk away from the burning aircraft, away from the airfield, away from the war. The sound of artillery grows closer. The Russians, the Americans, 2 armies converging, Germany squeezed between them. Somewhere in the ruins, someone will sign surrender documents. Someone will negotiate terms. Someone will officially end what ended months ago. But for Noak and Weber and thousands of other German pilots, the war ended on January 11th, 1944.
The day they saw P-51 Mustangs and couldn't escape. Everything since has been epilogue. May 2nd, 1945. Surrender. The war in Europe ends. Germany capitulates. Unconditional surrender. Noak is captured by American forces. Interrogated. Professional. Respectful. The Americans want information about the Me-262. Performance data. Tactics. Weaknesses. He tells them everything. Why not? The war is over. The secrets don't matter anymore. During interrogation, an American intelligence officer asks, "When did you know Germany would lose the war?" Noak doesn't hesitate. January 11th, 1944. Why that specific date? That's when I first saw P-51 Mustangs. They remained with the bombers all the way to target. We couldn't wait them out, couldn't escape them. From that moment I knew. We'd keep fighting, but the outcome was decided. The officer nods, writes notes. The P-51 was that significant. It changed everything. Before we controlled when to fight.
Wait for escorts to leave. Attack undefended bombers.
The P-51 eliminated that advantage. Suddenly they could reach anywhere. Persistent presence. We had to fight on their terms. Over our own cities. Every day. No rest. That kind of pressure destroys air forces. Destroyed ours. But you had the Me-262. Faster than P-51. We had 30 operational Me-262s. You had 800 P-51s. Statistical probability, not technology, decides wars. We learned that too late. The officer closes his notebook. You'll be released soon. We're not prosecuting Luftwaffe pilots, unless war crimes are involved. You're clear. Where will I go? That's your choice. Germany is divided now, east and west. Soviet zone or Allied zone. Choose carefully. Noak chooses west. British sector, away from the Russians. He's heard stories about Soviet camps. German POWs who enter never leave. He's released 3 weeks later, May 23rd, 1945, given civilian clothes, 20 Reichsmarks, travel papers. He walks out of the camp, free, alive, survivor. The word feels strange, empty. He survived. But what did he survive for Germany is ruins. Dresden destroyed, Berlin destroyed, Hamburg, Munich, Cologne, every major city reduced to rubble, millions dead, millions more displaced. The Reich that was supposed to last 1,000 years lasted 12, and Knock helped defend it, fought for it, killed for it. 52 confirmed victories, 52 aircraft destroyed. How many men died in those aircraft? 200, 300, each one someone's son, someone's brother, someone's father. He walks through the ruins, no destination, just walking. Eventually he'll rebuild, find work, start over. But today he just walks. A survivor with nowhere to go. 1953. Knock publishes his memoir, I Flew for the Führer. The book is controversial, criticized by some, praised by others. Knock doesn't care about controversy. He wrote it to remember, to document, to ensure people understand what happened. One chapter focuses entirely on January 11th, 1944, the day everything changed, the day German pilots saw P-51 Mustangs and couldn't escape. He writes about the shock, the realization, the slow acceptance of inevitable defeat. He writes about the 47 pilots lost that day, their names, their ages, their families. He writes about Weber, survived the war, now a schoolteacher in Munich, teaching children who don't remember the war, teaching them that war solves nothing. He writes about the lesson, the one that matters. Air superiority isn't about having the best fighters, it's about having fighters that can be everywhere. The P-51 wasn't the best dogfighter, wasn't the fastest, wasn't the most heavily armed, but it could reach anywhere, stay anywhere, fight anywhere. And that was enough. Enough to break the Luftwaffe's back, enough to enable the bomber campaign, enough to help win the war. The book sells moderately.
Not a bestseller, but enough. People want to move on, forget the war, build the future. Knock understands. He wants to forget too, but can't. The memories remain. January 11th, 1944. The faces of the young pilots, the burning cities, the helplessness. He writes to remember, so others don't have to. 1966. Steinhoff interview. German television. Johannes Steinhoff survived the war. Survived a horrific crash in April 1945. Severe burns, multiple surgeries, but survived. Post-war, he joins the new Bundesluftwaffe, West German Air Force, NATO, rises to 4-star general, chief of staff. In 1966, he gives a television interview, discussing the air war, lessons learned. The interviewer asks about the P-51. Steinhoff pauses, thinks, then speaks carefully. The P-51 was the weapon that broke the Luftwaffe's back. Not because it was so superior, though it was excellent, but because it meant we had to fight over Germany, over our own cities every day with no rest.
That wore us down more than anything. Was there a specific moment when you realized the war was lost? Yes, January 11th, 1944, first mass encounter with P-51s. They remained overhead throughout the mission. We tried every tactic we knew. Nothing worked. They had fuel to pursue us, speed to catch us, numbers to overwhelm us. From that day forward, we were prey, no longer hunters. Could Germany have countered the P-51? Only with something we didn't have, time. The Me-262 could have done it, but we needed 2,000 jets, not 200. We needed them in 1943, not 1944. We needed political leadership that understood air power. We had none of these things. Any regrets? Steinhoff considers. Many, but one stands out. We had intelligence reports about the P-51 in November 1943, 2 months before January 11th. We dismissed them, called it propaganda. If we'd taken those reports seriously, prepared, developed counters, maybe the outcome would have been different.
Probably not, but maybe. Final thoughts on the P-51. It was the right aircraft at the right time, used the right way. The Americans understood what mattered, not speed, not armament, not maneuverability. Range, the ability to escort bombers anywhere and return home. Once they solved that problem, the air war was over. We just didn't know it yet. The interview ends. Steinhoff removes his microphone, walks off set. Later alone, he thinks about January 11th, the day that changed everything. He thinks about the pilots he commanded, how many died, hundreds, thousands, each one trusting his leadership, following his orders. And he led them into a war they couldn't win. That guilt never fades. 1968. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio. Annual air show. Heinz Noak stands before a restored P-51D Mustang. Polished aluminum gleaming. Bubble canopy reflecting afternoon sun. The aircraft sits on display. Static. Harmless now.
24 years since he last saw one in combat. The fear should be gone. Should be. But his hands still tighten when he sees that profile. Beautiful aircraft, isn't she? Noak turns. An American, late 40s, grey at the temples, confident bearing, former military. Yes, Noak says. His English is good, accented but clear. Very beautiful and very deadly. The American extends his hand. Robert Morrison, Captain retired, 354th Fighter Group, I flew Mustangs. Noak hesitates, then shakes. Heinz Knoke, Major retired, Jagdgeschwader 11, I flew against Mustangs. Morrison's eyes widen. JG 11 were you? January 11th, 1944, Brunswick. I was there. So was I. My first mission in the 51. They stand in silence. 24 years ago they tried to kill each other. Today they shake hands at an air show. Morrison speaks first. I've always wondered, what did you think when you first saw us? When we didn't turn back? Noak considers, remembers, that moment of realization. I thought it was impossible. Physics didn't allow it. But you were there, and I knew. That day I knew we'd lost. Not the battle, the war. Because of this, Morrison touches the P-51's wing. Because you could be everywhere. We couldn't hide anymore. Couldn't choose when to fight. You decided, every day, over our own homeland. Noak pauses. Your aircraft didn't win the war. Your persistence did. Morrison nods slowly. I shot down 12 German fighters. I remember every one. I didn't want to. I just wanted to protect the bombers, get everyone home. And you did. That's what mattered. Did you ever shoot down a Mustang? No. They were too fast, too maneuverable. I survived by avoiding them. Noak smiles slightly. I was a good pilot, but your aircraft was better. Or maybe your pilots were. Or maybe we were just too tired by then. Probably all three. They walk around the P-51 together, examining details. Morrison points out features, drop tank attachment points, gun ports, ammunition storage. Strange, Noak says. 24 years ago this would have killed me. Today it's art. That's the difference between war and peace, Morrison replies. In war, aircraft are weapons. In peace, they're history, reminders. Reminders of what? That we survived, that others didn't, that we're supposed to learn something. Morrison touches the fuselage. I don't know if we learned anything, but at least we remember. Noak looks at the P-51 one last time. The fear is still there, will always be there, but something else too. Respect, understanding, acceptance. This aircraft changed history, he says quietly. Not through technology, through timing. You had the right weapon at the right moment. We didn't. That's why you won. No, Morrison corrects. That's why the war ended. Nobody won. We just stopped losing people. They shake hands again. Former enemies, current survivors. Men who understand what others can't, what it means to fly, to fight, to watch friends die, to live when you probably shouldn't have. I should go, Noak says. My wife is waiting. You have family. 2 daughters, 4 grandchildren. You, son and daughter, 3 grandchildren. They nod, understanding. They survived, built families, found peace. That's the real victory. Not who won, but that the fighting ended, that enemies became humans again, that aircraft became history instead of weapons. Noak walks away, leaves the air show, drives home. That night he doesn't open his diary, doesn't need to. The memories are always there. January 11th, 1944, the faces of the young pilots, the burning cities, but also new memories. Morrison, the handshake, the conversation. Wars don't end when one side surrenders. They end when former enemies can stand together and remember without hate. The P-51 Mustang made that possible by ending the war faster. By forcing the inevitable conclusion. By making German pilots face reality. January 11th, 1944, the day they couldn't escape, but also the day that started the path toward peace. toward reconciliation, toward today, and that Noak realizes might be the P-51's greatest contribution. Not the victories, not the kill ratios, not the strategic impact, but the acceleration, the shortening, the merciful speed with which it brought the war to conclusion. Fewer people died because the war ended sooner. More pilots survived to become grandfathers. More cities were spared destruction. More families stayed intact. The hunters became hunted. Then the hunting stopped. And former pilots became old men sharing memories at air shows. That's worth remembering. That's worth preserving. That's the lesson. Victory isn't glory. It's simply the end of horror and the beginning of something better. Noak sleeps peacefully that night. For the first time in decades, the P-51s in his dreams don't pursue. They fly alongside, escorting him home. The numbers tell the story. 1943, Luftwaffe losses Western Front, 2 400 fighters. 1944, losses 6 200 fighters. Despite producing more aircraft than ever. Despite tactical innovations. Despite the Me-262. The attrition was unsustainable. American bomber losses dropped from 10% per mission to 3%. Sustainable rate. Crews could complete 25 mission tours with reasonable survival chances. The P-51 achieved what no other fighter could. Continuous escort from England to any target in Germany and back. Range 650 miles with drop tanks. Speed 440 miles per hour at 28,000 feet. Combat radius 850 miles. Berlin was 580 miles from London, well within range. Total P-51 production, 15,586 aircraft. Total Luftwaffe fighters destroyed on Western Front, approximately 18,000. The kill ratio varied. Early missions, 9-1. Later missions, 4-1. Overall average, 3.7-1 in P-51 favor. But ratios don't win wars. Presence does. Persistence does. The relentless daily grind of missions does. The P-51 provided all three. Heinz Knoke survived the war. 52 confirmed victories. Died 1993, age 79. Johannes Steinhoff survived. 176 victories. Died 2001, age 80. Gunther Rahl survived. 275 victories. Third highest ace ever. Died 2009, age 91. Erich Hartmann survived. 352 victories. Highest ace in history. 10 years Soviet captivity. Died 1993, age 71. Hans Weber survived. 16 confirmed victories. Became schoolteacher. Taught history. Died 2005, age 79. They all remembered January 11th, 1944. The day they first saw P-51s. The day they couldn't escape. The day they knew. Wars aren't won by best technology, by bravest soldiers, by superior tactics. Wars are won by who can apply force longest, who can sustain pressure, who can outlast the enemy. The P-51 Mustang gave America that ability, the ability to reach anywhere in Germany, every day, without gaps, without rest. And that was enough to break the Luftwaffe, not through decisive battle, not through overwhelming victory, through grinding attrition, through relentless pressure, through inevitable conclusion. January 11th, 1944. German pilots saw P-51s for the first time and couldn't escape. The war continued 16 more months, but the outcome was decided that day, over central Germany, at 28,000 feet, when hunters became prey, and learned that victory comes not from avoiding death, but from building peace.